ETH pains.
Hey folks, welcome to another 3D printing Patreon preview. I have an astounding 229 campaigns to share with you today. Sorry I'm a little behind in production right now, but I've managed to organize the video into sections, starting with some miscellaneous groups, small scale, historical, fan art, and superheroes, then moving into sci-fi and then fantasy. Sci-fi has some pretty clear subsections, but fantasy ended up being a little alphabetic at times. I still have work to do on my sorting algorithms. Before we start, I have 3 crossover Kickstarter campaigns to share with you. These 3 have all shared minis with my patrons, so definitely check them out. First up, from Sculptor's Cave and the Arcane Gearsmith, is Sand Dwellers, Rise of the Swarm. A unique colony of anthropomorphic ants evolved in a harsh desert climate that bred some of the best warriors around. There is also Watchers, Explorers, Healers, a king, queen, and more. Will they hinder or aid your adventurers in their quest across the desert? Second, from Hexy Studios, is Starscrappers, Battle Drill, Volume 2. This is a space western skirmish wargame with a lightweight rule set and fantastic printable minis. Rules, tokens, cards, and other 2D printables are a free download. The core set had 4 factions, and this new expansion adds more models for each and 2 more factions. And third is the Aquafel Auxilia from Kadood 498. As well as tanks, this set comes with 9 infantry units. There are your standard Guardians with mortars and mounted heavy weapons, the Boarders, elite commandos, and a Deepwater special weapons team. There's also a Deepwater command squad, flotilla commanders, lieutenants, sergeants, and the Master Tideseer. Those who join my Patreon campaign this month will receive 1 or 2 models from each of these sets. They could be bounty hunters, arena combatants, or maybe even your player's characters. Huge thanks to all my crossover campaigns for the support. Links to all 3 and my own campaign in the description. Quick content warning, some of the following campaigns contain pinup style models. I've left a link in the description to a video discussing why that needs a content warning. That said, let's get started. Channel patron Tordo Minis is finishing up their Eternal Pharaohs collection and shifting more into their Dragon Dynasties, as well as a new Skull God Army of Demons. Forest Dragon has the first units for their new Reptilian Army, as well as extra units for their Despoilers and Dire Elves. Wake's Emporium has new White Tree Kingdom Swordsmen, Sci-Fi Soldiers, and Stealth Warsuits, all small scale. Peculiar Companions has small scale Goblin and Orc armies this month. Here's a free small scale tower from Onmyoji. Danger Noodles. Snackmen are the final addition to Red Nebula's February release, and here is a look at what's coming in March. KFMP Designs has added a whole heckload of new models and units to their small-scale Orbital Knights collection. Patrick Miniatures is working on a set of buildings from Normandy this month. This is a triple VK5, a prototype German amphibious car from Panzerprinter. This month, Maddox Historical Miniatures has Dragoons and more for their American War of Independence, 7 Years' War Russian troops, and French-Indian War British units. Fotis Mint has a new bust and figure of a samurai. Fickle Dice Games has 5 head-swappable soldiers for their Gloom Trench 1926 project. New models from Medbury Miniatures include dismounted Norman Knights, as well as an army of Grey Elves from Gwyrgalas. Here is a roundup of Dicehead's most recent release, as well as previews of a Wolf Sharpshooter and a Croc Wizard. Celia Miniatures has a new Paladin Chibi and a Fey Rider. Here is the monthly group shot of all the minis that Capsule Chibi made this month. This is Throg, a Chibi Frog Thor from We Make Games, as well as an eye monster. New from Chibi STL are Freddie Mercury, the Riddler, a Stormtrooper, and Rocket Raccoon. From 3DXM, Splinter and Rocksteady are ready for download, while Shredder is still a work in progress. My Poképrints has a Steelix, Pikachu popping out of a Game Boy, Gen 9 starters, and more. Prey Collection Studio has 5 models this month. My favorite among them is Max and the Leopard Queen. The final February loot crate from channel patron C27 Minis and Terrain included the Crimson Sorceress, Spider Clone, and others, and the first March release includes Dr. Bad Vibes and Gob Hoblinski. Legion Miniatures has a fantastic team of superheroes this month, fighting against those that would prescribe doom to the world. Trident Studio has a new sculpture of a superhuman with some sort of magnetic powers. This is Unbeatable Girl, the second March mini from Nuclear Firefly. 3DS of San has a new Ellie model, as well as a Tauronoid and a Flaming Bull. Hell Creator has a female shepherd this month, as well as an Isaac Clarke model. RNS Studio has Classic RPG Volume 4 and a Lords of Destruction set for March. These are Valifor and Ixion from Final Fantasy X by Ethan Savage Studios. Doses 3D has a bit of fan art, as well as an original character this month in figures and busts. Random Miniatures, as usual, has a random array of models this month. The Sci Fi release this month from channel patron Papsicles is Droids vs. Crazy, with melee gangsters and some heavily armed droids. Two Gargoyles Studio have some of their Soldiers of Viria taking some downtime, as well as rocket trucks, an armored car, and more. Golden Dragon Games has a Sherman Rust tank, an RC bomb tank, the Concordian Starborn, and another work-in-progress tank. Cyberforge has a set of Star Ops mercenaries this month, with characters, tanks, terrain, modular mercenary grunts, and more. Unit 9 has a unit of cyborg jungle fighters, as well as Blackstone Commandos, Sleepless City Citizens, and more. This month, Turn-Based Miniatures has a set of British SAS, African Warlords, and Tactical Hounds. KLT Studios have a team of female commandos and a couple 80s movie action heroes. This is a gang of Eastern European thugs from Combat Octopus. Here is a Sci Fi motorbike from Albino Raven Miniatures. This military outpost is the March bundle from Tesseract Tomb. Station Forge has new Scavenger Cyborgs and a Grimguard personnel carrier. This is the Sickle Rider with various different weapons from Star Pharaoh Foundry. This is Arlengrad, Misty Star City from Sacris Mundus. Here is a very work-in-progress shot of a Battle Nun Walker from Rageous Creations. From Print Minis, the police in Zadorn City are gearing up to raid the Undercity, Lower Dorn. For International Women's Day, Holly Grimm promises big girls with big guns. Monstrous Encounters is working on a G.I. Joe set for their Sci Fi release this month. Arch Kolobas has a set of Assassins this month with a bonus Inquisitor. Mad Ram Designs has a modular set of Worker Warriors Rising Up. Bob Naismith has new Snowmen, a spaceship, a traffic jam, and more. Imitation of Life Miniatures just keeps expanding their modular mutant set, and they also have some Rebel Piles and a Tech Knight. Here is a mutant from the Surreal Factory. For Sci Fi, One Page Rules has some Eternal Dynasties this month. From Edge Miniatures, The Cursed Dimension, here are 6 Lords and a dozen Purebloods. Here is a Tau bust from Ogoreg Miniatures. The March set from House Bartef includes a Space Elf Soldier, a Rogue Trader, a couple Imperial Agents for loyalty rewards, and more. Ivan has 5 different units of Insect Infantry. I thought he made spaceships. Chemical Canines are the final February models from Crucible of Games. March previews are also up, and do check out their Ghost of Kiev charity campaign as well. Dungeon Dog Miniatures has a Goblin Commander this month. Here's a preview of the Hippofolk army that Across the Realms is working on. There is apparently also a Flying Monkeys unit still to come. Here's a first look at the Alien Mercenaries that Anvil Digital Forge is working on. Ratman Forge has an apparent witch hunt happening just now, as well as some work-in-progress wraiths. Here is a herd of male and female space rhinos from Faux Figures. Here are two new species of cute alien critters from Zombie Smith Miniatures. Fictin Fu is working on Wicker Moonbears this month. The Hive is the latest release from Blue Wyvern with 6 different units. Here is a set of urban street bases from Sable Badger. Soulforge Studios has a new Edgy Space Elves Cruiser Builder set this month. New models from channel patron Lost Heresy include a Heretic Dwarf, an Evil Geneticist, and a Droid Bounty Hunter, to go with the Bounty Hunter and Dorngons I've already shown you. This is Juno Eclipse and Ruck, a Nagori bodyguard, to finish up Black Remnant's March release. Hokusa 3D Designs has many poses for a couple recognizable characters, as well as a few arena monsters you can make them fight. New models from Maddox include Wetland Bikers, ISS Agents, and Syndicate Enforcers. Niverdale Tabletop has 2 new units of Stormtroopers, as well as Midnight Brothers and a set of Ruins. Soulforge Studio has new characters, spacecraft, mechanodroids, and more. From Warblade Studio, these are Clone Commanders Doom, Fordo, Fox, Thorn, Cody, Rex, Bly, and Echo. Squamos Miniatures has a set of Quadmech pilots meeting an unfortunate end at the hands of Ice Maws, Gorillas, and the punishing terrain of Hoth. Channel patron The Dork Factory has a new modular set of Daemonic Void Commandos, as well as Blade Masters and modular Stalker tanks. New tanks from the Maker's Cult, as well as half-tracks, seated soldiers, space aliens, artillery, and more. Forg Forge has a couple good-looking Chaos Marines this month. Wild Wave 1 from Wild Mesh includes Savage Gladiators, Chaos Brutes, Bug Aliens, and more. Atlan Forge has new Assault Marines, Jetpack Marines, and Bear Chariots. The next army from Valkyrie's Playground will be these Bloodlords. .3D Art Guy has a Tribal Warrior and the mech she killed, as well as a super soldier fighting a demon mech. Big Mr. Tong has some new Mohawk sporting Bartertown guards, as well as asparagus priests and a female marine. Here are some work-in-progress shots of the Ultimate Mandarin Warriors from Studio DR. Riconade has a nice selection of Space Marine torsos and legs. Puppets War Miniatures has Ninja Strikers, Ninja Orcs, and a big sneaky bug. Here is the final look of the Modular Orc Trooper set from Black Crag Miniatures for February, as well as a work-in-progress set with jump packs. Gearguts' Mech Shop is turning out tanks for the war effort, as well as chompers, boys, mechs, and more. Blue Sky Minis has a new Speed King and Magic Boy for your orc armies, as well as a bunch of bits to accessorize them with. Gamek has a War Boss and 6 boys, as well as 3 tanks for their Sci Fi set. Here is the completed Monster Hunter set in all its proper modularity from Mr. Modulork. Also, here is a peek at the Lad set coming for March. "3D Print Cleric" is also working on modular orcs this month. This is the medium frame Ground Shark class mech from Extra Guy, as well as a work-in-progress mech repair bay. From channel patron Blue Art, this is not quite a full preview of the fantastic biomechanical creatures they come up with. I'm not sure that this is all one release, but it's the only public post that De Jong Lewis Advanced Weapons have made in months. Here is a work-in-progress shot of a Scorpionic Annihilator droid from the Rebel base build. Here is a preview of the mechs and vehicles that the Lilanian Industrial Complex has in store for March. Here are 2 versions of the new Dragon Mech from Polygon Masterworks. Here's a free little chonky mech for you from Matt Mason. Epic Miniatures have finished up their Caves of Despair set and moved on to their Steam Constructs set with Artificers, Constructs, Rocketeers, a train, and more. This dwarf army from channel patron Kyoshuneko Miniatures includes an engineer commander, command squad, golems and 3 squads of infantry, as well as a squad of peasants and a Valentine musketeer. MZ4250 has the aspect of Tiamat and 5 chromatic great worms, as well as some adventurers and adversaries. These mummified mutants are the final pieces in channel patron Great Grimoire's February release, The Road to the Afterlife. And here is a look at what they're working on for March. Magori Miniatures has a set of Ogre Mercenaries, Dwarven Buccaneers, a Harpy, and more. Avatars of War has various sorts of ogre folk this month, including Mammoth Hunters, Mercenaries, a Schwarzenogre, and more. Dragons Lake Miniatures has a small army of dwarves and ballistas this month. The March set from Lord of War Miniatures is Frost Dwarves, with a king on a frost dragon, a champion, and multi-part warriors. Here is the finished Fantasy Office set from Twin Goddess Miniatures. The Gunslinger Lodge is the March set from the Dragon Trappers Lodge, including dragons, tarantulas, constructs, a Skelly Mariachi band, and more. Print Your Monsters has a new sea dragon and other creepy undersea creatures. Nature's Grasp from Mini Monster Mayhem includes many creatures of the forest, fauna and flora alike. These Dragons and Dragonborn are the March set from Mammoth Factory, Dragons of the Immortal Flame. Lord of the Prince Swarm of the Voivre includes a range of different dragons like drones, soldiers, a matriarch, and babies, as well as a couple dragonborn. Here is a friendly dragon, a three-eyed demon jackal, and two snake cats from La Louve 3D. Stormcrow has a turtle based on the original D&D depiction, and a balefire dragon from Magic the Gathering. The Spawns of the Great Rot is a full army of wraiths, ghouls, and ghosts by Fleshcraft Studio. Masters of the Arcane is the March set from Dungeon Master Stash. King's Castle from Cast and Play includes a king and his men, archers, knights, a construct, and more, as well as castle tiles and terrain. The Affliction Overrun is an army of rat folk, including rat dragons and plenty of other teethy clawed monstrosities. B Team Minis has a nice selection of free minis for you to download, with Gremlins, a Demi-Lich, Grug Greyskin, and more. Arcanum Workshop has a warband of lizardmen this month, with one riding a T-Rex. Artisan Guild has a set of Svartwood Trolls this month, with hunters, hags, an elder, a king, and more. Asgard Rising has sets of ghouls and graveyards for their February release. From Awkward Penguin Minis, this is a lovely Genasi warlock named Gale, and a nameless gargoyle. Here is a Beholder model from August McDaniel. The March set from Battleyak Miniatures is the Runehorn Stampede, pre-posed and multi-part minotaurs. The Penitent Crusade from Bestiarum Miniatures has sinners and forsaken souls walking the path of redemption. The February set from Bite the Bullet is all Foxfolk, and here's a preview of the March set, Japanese Bullet Town. One Page Rules is still working on Beastmen for the fantasy half of their release. This is a preview of the anthropomorphic heroes that Beast Mode Miniatures is working on for March. Tribal humans and catfolk are battling the savage beasts of Kinjo Island from Broken Anvil Monthly. The Starscales army from Clay Beast Creations is getting bigger and nearing its completion. Channel patron Sculptor's Cave is working on part 2 of their Kobold set this month, including a giant ice-breathing spider. This month, Clay Cyanide Miniatures is taking a trip through the Hyborian Age. This is just a preview, as Conan is listed in the description and I don't see him here. This is Katsuhito, Ryujin of Smoke from Cobra Mode, as well as a Hanzaki Champion, Grenadiers and Tea Shop, bases, and more. This is a work-in-progress shot of Fantasy Series 19 from Colossal Miniatures. Garten and the Witch is the March release from Collective Studio, with characters, creatures, and terrain. Ritual Casting has completed work on Tuya, Queen of the Plains, and it looks like next month their subject will be male. This set from Clay Demon Miniatures is titled Lady Justitia. This is Alina of the Paladins of Dawn by Ernest Nemirovsky. This is Ezzy of the Dark Circus from Bella Noct Miniatures. This Goblin Hunter from Creature Armory is known as the Wanderer, and here is a work-in-progress Warlock. Crippled God Foundry has the Era of Forbidden Magic, with lots of adventurers, familiars, and magic effects. Comet Lord Miniatures has Constructs, Dragonborn, Arcane Knights, and Drakkar the Dreadnought. The latest set from 3D Hexes is the Magma Keeps. Dadi Dungeon and Dintorni has a big tree shrine and a new building with a new style inspired by Venice. From mini basing, here are a few plants, fungi, a stump, and a well. Here is the completed March release from Gamescape 3D with new cave rubble and labyrinth ruins. Here's 20 images of the 11 or so projects that Aether Studios will be adding to this month. Here's the finished Landan Steamtown Station from Dark Realms, as well as some previews of other buildings to come. The Gothic Toy Shop is the February set from Dragon Workshop, with toys, jesters, and a toy shop with detailed interior. Savant 3D has finished up their Temple of Rock Giants set, and are now working on Orc Invasion scenery. Charlie Factory has new sets of Middle-earth and alien terrain. Tiny Furniture Digital has a medieval bathroom set for March. Masterwork Tools has some curved walls with arrow slits and doors. As well, they're working on iced over earth tiles. Here is the completed Steel Watch Knights from Dragon's Forge Miniatures, with foot, cavalry, and at least one of them is on a Pegasus. The Unliving Horde of Dreadmarsh from Daybreak Miniatures includes skellies, zombies, ghosts, undead knights, and more. Duncan Shadow has new Zvarts, 12 pre-posed and 10 posable, as well as a set of 6 posable cultists. Here are a few more minis to finish up Epic's End Stuff's February release, as well as a peek at a dragon coming in the future. The first 3 minis for March from Crosslances are these 3 sorcerers. The Infinity and the Void from Flesh of Gods Miniatures includes heroes, villains, monsters, busts, and more. Gomek's fantasy release includes male and female Spartan cast squaring off against the soulless swarms. Galad Miniatures has a set of 9 little sprites or fairies, optionally without the wings. Rhino Rush is the March set from Goonmaster Games, also containing teethy fish folk and bitey fish dogs. Grinning God has some local flora, fauna, and folk from a coastal civilization. Goblin has some nice mind flayers this month. The Warriors of the Secret Jungle are an Aztec-inspired warband from Heroes Infinite. Between the Barbarian Goliath and the Vampire Noble from Heroes and Beasts Miniatures, I'm not sure which is the hero and which is the beast. Highlands Miniatures has new Sunland Archers and Sunland Militia. Ilhadiel has new Drummers, Cavalry, and a Mounted Shaman for their Borg army. Kraken's Vault has a diorama with a Gunslinger vs. Zombies. This is Frogface and a Tiefling in heavy armor by Homunculus Creations. Here is a free 4-armed canine demon from Iconic Minis. Here are 4 new adventurers for you from JG Sculpts. Here's some work-in-progress Tiamat cultists and other townsfolk from Lion Tower Miniatures. Legend Builds has a new character, Solon the Wise, as well as the mage Yabid Hellbound and 3 soldiers of Nemes. Lost Kingdom Miniatures has new additions to their Bloodthirsty Night Elves collection, including soldiers, mounted leaders, a hydra, and like electric lions or something. Here are work-in-progress shots of Manuel Boria's latest Dragonfolk, a sorcerer and a monk. The March theme from Miniatures Blueprint is Mermaid. Island of the Pirates is the March release from Lost Hobbyist Miniatures. The new set from My 3D Print Forge is all about the ogres, goblins, and murlocs, with a couple adventurers and busts as well. Here is the first half of a Chaos Pact fantasy football team from Mythbowl RN Studio. Naga Minis has new Mambangs, Elephant Mages, Weasel Ninjas, and more. The Infernal Incursion from Orc King includes Penitents, Plague Knights, the Lord of the Pandemic, and more. The Great Wilderness Goblin Clan is the March release from Nova Minis, with 12 goblins and some rough timber huts. From 1 gold piece, the Halfling Cavalry has arrived, mounted on goats. Printed Obsession has several different races and classes of foundlings this month, and here's a look at some future releases. Printed Encounter has 2 Goblins Wolf Riders this month. Profane Sanctuary is the March release from Print and Paint Miniatures, with demons, busts, and bits of terrain. This is Kuga, the Plague Witch, and a champion from Railstone's Black Death set, out this month. Red Clay Collectibles has a village of pangolin folk. The March lineup from Rocket Pig Games includes Half Devil Barbarians, Mecha Drones, a Rat Fiend Colossus, Steampunk Executioner, and more. Here are some work-in-progress pics of a Furbolg Barbarian with wooden armor, a Displacer Beast, and more, from Role-Playing and Miniatures. It looks like Raven Twin Miniatures has been working on a Beastmen fantasy football team. The 3 sets from STL Miniatures this month include a Stonecarver set, 3 Tabaxi Assassins, and a Tattoo Artist's Shop. Here is an Innsmouth Cockroach and 4 other creepy creatures from Schlossbauer. Signum Workshop has a new Forest Sanctum Protector, Black Marsh Horde models, Unicorn Alliance models, and more. The Damned Court from TPK Lab includes 18 rogues, clerics, thugs, festering monsters, and more. Ronin Arts Workshop has a couple fantasy football versions of their Goblin models. The Printing Goes Ever On finishes their last set with a great war elephant, and also has previews up for their Watchers of Mona Firth March set. Rotten Key Miniatures has a set of 4 townsfolk this month. Here are 3 Lizardfolk Fighters from Tiger Skull RPG. The Dragon's Rest has a bunch of new variations of walls in their Dungeon Tile set. The Badland Orcs from Titanforge Miniatures includes a bunch of characters and multi-part riders and warriors, and the Titans of Adventure now come with options. The Zealots of the Undercity from Vivictus Miniatures includes a cult leader, paladin, rogue, warlock, and modular cultists. Titan Troll Miniatures has a new chain-swinging Wastelander, and their first 2 Bullywugs. March previews from Village's Hope Miniatures include Hades, Cerberus, Terrain, and more. These creepy creatures are the Dreams of Relet from Void Realm Minis. Here is a work-in-progress shot of a Pestilence Swarm from Varus Miniatures. WTH Studios has a cute Turtle Ranger this month, as well as a Basilisk, a T-Rex, and more. This is the Elemental Planes Part 1 from Warp Miniatures. This is Crew, the Monkey King, and his court, as well as a few flying monkeys and other beasts. This is the Kalupalek, a bonus drop from Yasashi Kyojin Studio, as well as a work-in-progress Gibbering Mouther. Zandoria Studios has 2 Gnome Druids this month. This set from 3D Breakfast is mostly accessories like dice towers and boxes, with a couple bits of terrain and a Minotaur mini. Here is the completed February set from Your Neighbor Night Minis, as well as a look at the Town Guards and Captain for March. 3DP Miniatures has a mechanic, ice cream seller, and an emergency medical worker. Vinci Miniatures has a dozen bodies worth of modular Plague Monk Ratman this month. The Evernight from 3D Art Digital includes zombies, ghosts, a flesh golem, and more. Dawnfall is the March release from Runic Collectibles, centered around elves and forest creatures. Reiko Vendetta Studio has finished their Forest Elves football team, and possibly started a halfling one. As well, here's a Spider Queen, orcs, and more. Labyrinth Models has a bunch of nice looking sets like Sentinels, Dragon Slayers, Warlocks, and Sea Elves. Hollow Miniatures has a unit of Sylvan Elf Archers, as well as a Highborn Elf on a Griffin. These Forest Elves, King of the Forest, and Snake Commanders are the newest models from Diwali Games. Claudio Cassini has several Elven Rangers this month, as well as a chunky Dwarven Warrior and an Elven Paladin. New models from Bright Minis include a Drider, Putin Troll, Selena and Barnabas, a Purple Worm, and more. Fantasy Cult Miniatures has an army of elves and a Hydra to finish off their March release. Last Sword Miniatures has an Elven Mage, Barbarian, Sorceress, Wolf Knights, Tribal Warriors, a Modular Bridge, Dragon Lord, and more. Here is a Tiefling Fortune Teller from Mia K for Model Monday, as well as a peek at her work in progress Woodland Defenders. That's all for now. Huge thanks to all my patrons on Patreon, as well as my 3 crossover campaigns this month. Check back soon for another Kickstarter countdown. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.